Ani, bonjour. Bawaban Nangos District Cross, Chimnison, Donchba. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming out tonight. Joining us in online, everybody that's online. I'm known in this journey as Marla Monague. My spirit name is Early Morning Star, and I'm really happy to be here tonight. I'd first like to thank my family for being here. My mom, Sharon, and my dad, Dave, are here, my brother, Merv, and all my aunts. And I'm pretty much related to everybody here, so thanks for all coming out tonight. That's not the reason why I want you to vote for me, though. I'd first like to acknowledge the elders that are here. I know some of you don't like to be called elders, but I do appreciate your presence here tonight and the integral roles that you carry within our community. I know that you all have been to these forums many times before, and I'm comforted that you're here to listen to all of us candidates seeking leadership roles. I've learned a tremendous amount from our elders throughout my journey. It is really meaningful to me to know that I have this opportunity to speak directly to you, elders in my community, within this capacity. I'd also like to acknowledge the sacred items that are here behind me. I'm not too sure who they belong to, but thanks for bringing them here. I'd like to shout out my nominators, Monague, Mixabong, and McHugh. It's a big honor to be nominated by such incredibly strong women. Also, shout out again to Mia and to Riss for the chief nomination. Thanks, but no thanks. I'm happy to run for council, though. Before I start talking about myself, I also want to thank the current chief and council for their dedication and commitment over the past term. Being a leader within a community, whether elected or not, comes with much responsibility and sacrifice, and I appreciate the efforts of everyone who chooses to step within these roles. Whether here in our community or out there in regional and national forums, I believe that all of our leaders are proud to represent Chimnison. I also want to thank my fellow candidates for their words tonight and for stepping up to be considered for these important leadership roles. I've heard so many shared priorities tonight, and it's good to hear about all the great things that you've been doing within the community and your careers with your families. And I see so much of what you do here in the value that you add to the quality of life for everyone. I look forward to hearing from the rest of you and hopefully get to chat with some of you later on. You can keep going on because I honestly really appreciate the work that everybody in the community does. There are so many of you here, not only those of us vying for leadership roles, but some of you in the audience, some of you tuning in online, who are vital contributors that help keep the heart of our community beating. I hope you all realize why your work creates a positive impact in our lives and how grateful so many of us are for your contributions. I suppose I should get to talking about myself. I always have a really hard time talking about myself, and I can barely introduce myself without going beat red, even over Zoom with my camera off. I took drama classes when I was younger because I always had such a hard time speaking in front of people that I didn't know and don't trust. But surprisingly, I'm more at ease here than I've been anywhere else because I do know most of you and I do have that trust established with you. It's actually one of the most comforting things to be here, to speaking to you all in this venue and within our community with all of our families here. I grew up with so many of you, and many of you watched me grow from a little kid who used to fly around the community on my bike to the person who stands in front of you today. For those of you that don't know me, I'm sorry, but you will not find me on Facebook, probably ever. I have a rotting Twitter account where I used to be loud and very political. Now I just talk about the challenges of being in a shop I play in this day and age and how fun it is to be an auntie. I suppose that's boring to a lot of people because I've lost a lot of followers. To be honest, I don't engage on there much anymore as it morphs into something that doesn't align with my needs on a social media platform. But I'd really like to thank everybody who has shared and reposted my introduction on your accounts. I appreciate how being able to get it out, and I hope everybody's had a chance to read it. If you've not, it's also in the council packages that were given out tonight. So I'd like to thank whoever put those together for us. Even though I've worked on political campaigns before, I've never campaigned for myself, and I decided not to roll out a platform. As someone who grew up here, the well-being and prosperity of our community has always been a top priority. My education and career have focused on building healthy and prosperous communities. I've traveled throughout the province and across the country working with leadership from First Nations in both their individual and collective advocacy needs. Efforts to advance our communities hasn't just been a job, it's been a lifestyle. So that's why I decided to write my intro like an application letter to you, my community, because it's you that I'm applying to, and it's important for me to convey to you my experience and why you might want to include me as one of your leadership representatives. I've always been someone that has cared about social injustices, and since I first learned about what it truly means to be a Anishinaabe, my plight has been to embody our principles, embrace my role as a Anishinaabe and work towards betterment of our communities. One time I wanted to be a social worker, but my path kept pushing me in other directions. A former bookworm with an obsession with news and politics, it's no surprise to anyone close to me that my career has focused so heavily on communications and First Nation governance. As a kid, I appreciated the freedom of being able to connect with the land on a daily basis and didn't really feel the impacts of the lack of infrastructure, resources, or see the barriers that impeded our ability to thrive and prosper as a community. The disparities became stark as I grew old enough to understand that systemic inequities have been impacting us this entire time. When we pile on top the impacts of assimilated institutions and the loss of culture and language, we have a full plate in front of us, and this is only the first course. That is why I focused so much of my career working with First Nation leadership from across the province. I spent years working for advocacy bodies and have direct experience working with various levels of government. Having the opportunity to participate in many leadership forums, I have a keen understanding of the common issues and challenges that we all face as First Nations and what needs to be done to address them. I have worked with the Chiefs of Ontario, the regional advocacy body that represents the 133 First Nations in Ontario, and I've had the privilege of traveling to dozens of these communities throughout the years. It has been an honor to experience the hospitality of each community and see how similar we are in nature. We are all proud of our communities and have the same value systems and principles, and I feel honored that my path has taken me to these places. Right now, I'm really fortunate to have a dream role as a communication strategist working with the Executive Council of the Anishinaabe Nation. I get to write addresses and advise on policy development and utilize the skills I have acquired throughout my journey. I'm also very proud of my most recent work experience. Prior to this role, I worked as a health policy analyst with the Association of Ontario Midwives in the Indigenous Midwifery Department. There, I had the opportunity to focus on advancing matriarchal roles within governance structures. Before I left that role, I proposed amendments to their constitution to formally recognize that their promotion of Indigenous midwifery acknowledges the our Indigenous rights to equitable health, and to recognize and respect the self-determination of First Nations and Indigenous midwives working within this profession. This work is so important to me that I continue to help out in advisory capacity as an independent consultant. I won't stop until all our communities are benefiting from midwifery services. Can you imagine what it would be like for our babies to be born here again? I get so many good feels just thinking about it. When I have time, I like to volunteer, and I spent a 3-year term on the board of directors for Anishinaabe Health Toronto and participated in efforts as they undertook the design and approval for the new health center that will be built in downtown Toronto very soon. As an Anishinaabe citizen, I consider myself to be part of the Indigenous community in Toronto as much as I consider myself to be a part of Chimising. The only difference is that this land runs through my DNA. This is my home. It's a part of me, and I have felt very blessed my entire journey that I belong here. Connection to our land and our territories is fundamental to who we are as a Anishinaabe. I see Wayne standing there. I have a lot more to say, so I'll scoot down to the bottom. I think one of the things that I really want to touch on is our ability to focus on intergenerational healing. We talk so much about intergenerational trauma, and we all know that we've been impacted by that. But I feel like once we start envisioning ourselves and turning it around into intergenerational healing, that's when we're able to start embodying that and really start incorporating that within our lives and embrace that. And then before I say much, I just want to talk about some of the, I don't like making promises, and I think I wrote that in my introduction. But I can say that I am compassionate, non-judgmental, and I believe in our ability to thrive not only as a community, but as a nation. We have so much untapped potential, and when we unify our efforts, the possibilities are endless. And Wayne is standing there, I will say to me much. And I'm around for the rest of the night. You can also feel free to email me, and everybody likes to turn around in front of my house to have the waterfront, so just stop on in and say hi. Much.